Hello and welcome to Joyful, the podcast that will help you live a more joyful life. I'm your host, Chloe Markham, and it's my mission to help you find more joy every single day. This podcast is a deep dive into ways to reduce your stress, your overwhelm, anxiety, and that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, whilst also diving into the methods, philosophies, and protocols that help us live more connected, grounded, and ultimately happier lives. This is about living life on purpose. Without any further ado, let's dive into today's episode. I'm really glad that you're here with me. It's been a little while. Christmas happened, New Year happened, always slightly anticlimactic. How are you doing? How was it? We're in January now. You might not be in January listening to this, but either way, how are you doing and how's your year going? Great, how's yours? I mean it, like, how are you getting on? Can you let your shoulders just drift down slightly and your jaw unclench a little bit, and that spot between your eyebrows, just let it smooth out. Take a breath in. Pause at the top just for a sec. And then let it go. How are you doing? Welcome, my friend. It's so good to be here with you. There's been a lot of changes to the yoga revolution. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm really excited about all of them. We've changed the brand colours a little bit. We're kind of maturing. For me, it's yoga, of course, but yoga as a tool, one of many tools that we can use to become more joyful. And that is really the topic that I want to dive into with everything, but especially with the podcast, right? What is the stuff that makes you more joyful? How can your life be up-leveled in a joyful way? And there's so many simple ways of us doing that. And in this episode, I want to talk about actually the month's theme in the membership, which is gratitude. The more I learn about gratitude, the more I do and practice gratitude, the more I love this stuff. And I know that it might seem like a really small thing, a really kind of trite idea that wellness gurus push on you, or like books push on you. I don't know, like what's pushing gratitude on you? I don't know, but it just, for me, the kind of societal expectation of a gratitude practice is just like an eye roll, you know? Oh my God, another stupid habit for us to incorporate. And it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really do anything. I don't have time. So I'm speaking to you. If you're the kind of person who feels all of those things, who doesn't really have time, or doesn't really get it, or how to do it, welcome to the episode. Because I want to distill this attitude of gratitude. I'm sorry, I know. I want to start by just saying, and I think I've mentioned this a whole bunch of times, maybe go back through, I definitely talked about this in the morning routine episode. I started a morning routine when I was in a really bad place. I was in a bad relationship. It was COVID-y time, you know, and I started a morning routine. And part of that was gratitude. There's a whole bunch of other stuff to it. I recommend you listen to that episode if you're interested in morning routines. But gratitude was a big part of it, and it's so funny because when I read back at some of my morning journalings and whatever, my morning routine stuff, I just fucking eye roll, man, because I feel like such a martyr. But when I really add gratitude in, that kind of victim mentality that I can slip into quite easily, and we all have our own weird little foibles and what you might call saboteurs that we slip into quite easily, mine being victim sometimes. But when you start to go into this gratitude, it's so funny because my internal voice starts to shift. And when I don't practice it, it shifts back, right? And when I do practice it, here I am, like, holy shit, my life is great. And then I'm going to talk about it in a bit more depth, but when we're in that mindset, oh my God, stuff gets better. It can genuinely, I believe, change your life. So this tiny little habit of gratitude is tiny. It's easy. It's nice to do. I'm not going to ask you to sit for 40 minutes and meditate. This is just a tiny little thing you can do, and it can change your life. So I want to start by bringing up the concept of stress. There's so much you can do for stress levels. Please do them, babe. Like, you really need to. Stress is terrible. It's like really bad for you. I mean, you know that it's really bad for you, but life is chaotic and fucking hard and challenging and horrible sometimes. And stress just happens. So, I don't know, I really want you to start noticing your stress levels and becoming aware of them, step one, right? But gratitude can actually be like a practice of being thankful for like, this stuff around me, my health, my legs, my cellulite. I don't know if we can go that far, but yeah, maybe we can. But this practice of gratitude is like an antidote. It can be an antidote, really powerful one, to your daily stress levels. Like science even tells us by expressing gratitude, we're actually activating the brain's reward system, which, hey baby, releases dopamine and serotonin, right? So dopamine and serotonin being these like feel-good neurotransmitters, the stuff that makes us feel good. Go back to the beginning of this episode, and I'm talking about joy. The Yoga Revolution, my mission in this life of mine, in all the work I do, is to facilitate joyful living. So, a tiny practice of gratitude releases the joyful goodness in our crazy monkey minds. It's a tiny little hack, I'm telling you. So, first off, we're going to beat stress by creating this habit of gratitude. We're building resilience against stress, supporting our bodies in really big ways, because think about it, fucking hell, it's such a big deal. If we start to shift away from stress, what does that mean? All of the negative stuff that stress brings into our lives, high blood pressure. I'm going to list some of them here. My mind's going to go blank. High blood pressure. What else? High blood pressure. You know, all of the things. Like, we become quite incapable human beings when we're stressed. You know exactly what I'm talking about. My digestion goes crazy. My heart, I get palpitations. It's not good for us, you know? So if we can shift away from that horrible, dark, manky place of stress not being very good for us, in fact, being quite toxic for us, if we can shift out of that, the ramifications of it are huge, because not only are we just not stressed, but in turn our blood pressure reduces, our immunity increases, we're able to decision make, problem solve. You know what I mean? The spiral of goodness is really big when we step away from stress and when we can manage stress. And hey, it's tiny. I'm going to share like little things we can do to practice gratitude at the end, but do it because it's going to support your resilience against stress. It's going to be like the little antidote to stress. It's going to support this kind of plethora of stuff we use to beat stress. Big deal. So that's kind of one of the biggest things. Another big thing, an impact of gratitude, it goes beyond our emotional well-being. It actually influences our physical health too. And hey, this is so because of the stress thing, I'm sure of it. But again, research is telling us that people who engage in regular gratitude practices actually experience lower blood pressure, improved immunity, and better heart health, better cardiovascular health. We think like, I have to go for a run to improve heart health, or like eat non-stop beetroot. Beetroot's great. Running I hate. You might like it. Careful of your knees and hips, please, people. But how magical, how wonderful, sparkly and ridiculous and lovely is it that we can practice a tiny little bit of, oh my god, this is nice, to improve cardiovascular health. How magical is that? Don't discount it, don't discredit it. This is fucking huge. And of course, like going back to the stress thing, what happens as a result of improving these body markers? we end up healing, we're in less pain, we end up being more capable physically and emotionally, we're in better moods, we have greater overall well-being, again, decision making, problem solving, being patient, calmer. Holy shit, all of this stuff happens when we start to be grateful. So it's not only boosting our mood, but supporting the overall health of our bodies. Magical. Okay, I've got a couple more reasons why you need to practice gratitude, my friend, right? Number one is your sleep. Sleep is such a big deal, and I want to just sit with that for a minute, because I know that oh fuck it, I'll just sleep when I'm dead, right? That's a really nice idea, but it's bullshit, because it really does impact absolutely every facet of your life, whether you realize it, whether you want to accept it or not. Your quality of sleep, your duration of sleep, the regularity of your sleep goes far beyond how rested you feel the next day. It's way beyond just rested. So much happens because of your sleep. Your sleep is so important. Please don't discredit sleep. Oh my God. But if we're starting to shift into this attitude of gratitude, then we can actually support our sleep. So again, studies, I'm not just shooting air out my bumhole. Studies have been linked to improved sleep quality and duration in individuals who practice gratitude. So people who practice it are seeing better sleep and decreased symptoms of insomnia. Again, we're talking about this upward spiral, all these little positive impacts that gratitude has on us lead to even more positive impacts, even more. Just speak to me when I'm tired and you'll realise that I'm a completely different human being than when I've had my regular 9 hours. And yes, I sleep for 9 hours a night, pretty much. Thereabouts. I need to sleep 9 hours. I'm a princess. It's okay. How mad is it, though? Just this this tiny little thing of gratitude improves our sleep quality. And I'm not making it up. This is science. I'm going to link to a blog post I wrote about this. It has some links to journals in it, scientific journals, people who know what they're talking about. So I can prove it to you. But there's one more thing I want to just say on this attitude of gratitude thing. It builds resilience. So what we're doing, and so often, because it's how we're wired as human beings, human animals, whatever, we're so wired to see what's wrong and what's missing. And it's really easy to slip into that. Like I was saying about me earlier, like my fucking martyrdom, my kind of victim complex. I so have that. This is wrong and this is wrong and this is shit and this is bad and I hate this and I hate that. Like my belly rolls, my cellulite, my thighs are too fat. And that's just a body thing, but can I just say on that, I know I'm going to go off topic slightly, but I went to the National Gallery recently. Wonderful. Please go. It's free. It's just so interesting. I was obviously walking around. There's so many babies, like fat, naked babies and, images of Jesus Christ, which is great. But the thing that really hit me is just, I suppose, how they painted naked women's bodies back then. In centuries prior to this one. And there was such a different range of female bodies, including cellulite. It's like, I was sat there thinking, okay, so this is an artist, clearly incredible, right? They've studied their entire lives to be good artists, yeah? And they're painting this scene, and there's a naked woman, and they've chosen... not because, hey, let's belittle this lady. They've literally chosen to paint in cellulite in this woman's butt cheeks. I just was wandering around, just being like, yes, girl, this is brilliant and empowering, and look at different bodies. Isn't this great? And, I don't know. you know how damaging modern society, men and women, every gender, like, it's damaging the way that we perceive perfection and have such limiting views of what human women should look like. But just wandering around the National Gallery made me feel so much better about my body and everything. I think it's great. But going back to the topic that I'm talking about here, gratitude, I think it's about, when we practice it regularly, we're kind of rewiring our brain to see the good stuff. And it is about rewiring it. It's not a case of do it one time and then you're done. This is like, I always talk about this, bicep curls, right? If you want hefty old biceps, then you're going to have to do more than one bicep curl. It's a practice, but by practicing it, we're rewiring our brain to start to see, this is nice, rather than this is lacking. And that positive outlook that it encourages literally helps us bounce back from adversity. Life is hard, I spoke about this at the beginning, and I know that you know how hard life is. I don't need to remind you, you've gone through some really hard times, and I hate to say it, but you're going to go through some really hard times again, some really more hard times. You know what I mean? Like, the future isn't just going to be rainbows and sunshine. So then, if that's the case, which it is, how do we become more resilient to the storms that come our way? How do we build a better ship that can weather crazy deep ocean weather? Deep ocean storm cycles. How can we become more resilient to that? And amazingly, this gratitude habit helps us do that. We're building the foundations of this resilient outlook on life. And I just want to end on that. I mean, I'm not going to end because there's more coming. Like, we're going to talk about gratitude in a minute, but just talking about these benefits of gratitude. I don't know, there's been a few conversations completely unrelated. I was talking about theatre the other day. I was watching a documentary on interior design the other day, and in both completely separate situations, what came up was, you know what? When I get challenged within this project that I'm working on, when it's hard, I'm forced to then problem solve and be creative and come up with solutions. And actually, the best things come out of this challenge that I didn't really want to have to deal with. This challenge I didn't want to, I didn't expect. I didn't plan for. And I think that's a really wonderful analogy for life, right? Like, you don't know the best thing for you. And I know that sounds crazy, but we just don't. We don't have all the facts. You don't have all the facts. It's just a, matter of fact. We don't know everything. We don't know the best course of action. We don't know the way fate is gonna take us. And actually, if we start to see these challenges as a wonderful gift for us to be creative and problem solve and actually go down a path that we didn't even know existed, that's more wonderful than we could have imagined, if we start to see our problems and our challenges and, these obstacles in our way as a way for us to get more magic in our lives. And this is what gratitude does, right? Like, we start to reframe our head so that we start to see these things. So I just wanted to kind of close this part of the episode on that. This is profound. I know I say this all the time, but a lot of the tools I work with and I share with my members and talk about with my clients is profound, and that's the reason I use them. Meditation, yoga nidra, yoga practice. It's profound. Gratitude is profound, and it's so small. And so here's your to-do list right now. Wherever you are right now, maybe you're driving, maybe you're cooking, you're out for a walk, maybe you're just sat with a dog. I don't know what you're doing as you listen to this, but I want you just to take a second and be like, oh, this is cool, this is nice, whatever this is. Could be a person you're with, could be a thing you're doing, an aspect of reality right this second. What is it? What can you be like, ah, yes. And I want you to feel that. What does it feel like and where do you feel it? What does it feel like and where do you feel it? Anytime I do this, I just smile. What does it feel like? Where do you feel it? Like, lean into that feeling of gratitude. Maybe there's another thing you can bring in right now. Maybe you can start to list a couple more things that are making you feel thankful, abundant. They can be tiny. Maybe even tiny is good, because it forces us to really think about it. Like, wow, my toes are warm because I'm wearing amazingly thick socks right now, and I'm really grateful for that. You know, it doesn't have to be big. What does it feel like? Where do you feel it? You might even want to close your eyes for this. I want you to invite that feeling. So don't think for a second, just invite the feeling to get bigger and bigger. Yeah, get bigger and bigger. Does it have a shape, a colour? What does it feel and where do you feel it? Yes, it's a magical practice. And so the way to really invite this practice into your life is in morning journaling. So waking up every day, I write down my dreams, and then I write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. Never the same 3 things, sometimes they are, but try to vary them and feel into them. And at the end of the day, I write down the best parts of my day. The best bits, the 3 best, greatest things. And I also, you know me, I have my good to be alive moment, which is just another kind of aspect of this gratitude practice. So if you were writing a list, and this is based on a play that I went to see, I can't remember the name of it, All the Wonderful Things, I think. Brilliant play. And the concept is, if you were writing a list to someone who didn't want to live anymore of all the best things in your life, good to be alive moments about living, what would one of them be right now? So that is how I would incorporate, and how I do incorporate, gratitude into my everyday. And I created the Joy Journal to be a support for that. You can find that in the TYR shop on Amazon too. I'll put a link in the description, but that is basically a kind of free writing journal that I've created for you, and it has prompts. Every day you'll have just a little prompt to write down what you're grateful for, and to write down your good to be alive moment and your best parts about your day. There's a couple of other things in there too, but do it. Start to do this every day. It doesn't have to be a big deal. It doesn't have to be super special. Just start to do it. And again, as you do it, as you practice gratitude, you're supporting your resiliency against stress and all the benefits that come with that. You're supporting your physical health, your cardiovascular health, your immunity, right? You're supporting your sleep, and you're building overall resilience and a positive outlook on life. Like, what else is there? Why else are we doing stuff? Like, what else do we need? You know? Yeah, it's a really, really big deal. So I hope you're feeling like you can put more stock in this practice of gratitude now. It's not just this tiny little trite idea that gets bandied around wellness circles just because it sounds nice. There's so much science. Again, I'll leave a link to the blog post I've written to support this in the show notes. And get the Joy Journal, because it really does support me every single day, and my clients too. And it's powerful stuff. And I want to end, as I always have done, always will do, with my good to be alive moment. And I think my good to be alive moment is I was going to say podcasting, but actually I think it's my daily habits I'm so grateful for, to have had the learnings, the insights and all of it to bring me daily habits like gratitude. I don't know, that's a really powerful thing, no? Little daily nuggets of stuff that make you feel more alive and lovely and capable. So I suppose gratitude is my good to be alive moment today. So again, I'm just going to end and ask you what can you be grateful for right now? I'm grateful for you, my friend. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you so much for listening, my friend. I hope you're feeling sparkly and inspired to live a more joyful life. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave me a rating. These things are invaluable to me, and share it with people who need it. This is about inspiring more people to be more connected and lead happier and more joyful lives. Join my inner circle for more inspiration. Learn more at the website theyogarevolution.co.uk and chloemarkham.co.uk. I'll see you in the next episode.